Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So, since I've been out of work recently, I mean, not for good, it's just for while I'm healing up, I've had the opportunity to read books. Something I didn't usually get the opportunity to do. At least not, being busy with this work and other stuff. I finally finished Shattered. That book is mind-blowing. Some of the insights are absolutely mind-blowing. And there's some stuff where you read where you're like, I knew it. You're kind of like, oh, that's exactly what I thought was taking place in behind the scenes of the campaign. Identity politics. Identity politics. I thought it was particularly bad when Hillary Clinton was doing things that was over the top trying to get minority votes. It was just so over the top. She would hug Obama in that fake moment of concern and everything else. She would come out acting like she was Obama 2.0. Look, I'm going to keep Obama's legacy. Bernie Sanders is trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act in order to get single payer so you can get better health care. Fuck Bernie Sanders. We want that shitty Affordable Care Act, right? I'm Hillary Clinton. I'm going to keep the Affordable Care Act that Obama put out. It was politics. It was purely politics. There was no reality to it. Single-payer health care would have helped those people more so than trying to keep the Affordable Care Act. Hillary Clinton was focused on this idea of Affordable Care Act because she understood that Obama, that was his signature achievement. Some African Americans will want to be affiliated with that particular signature achievement as opposed to actually getting stuff done that actually works. She understood that. And she went balls out doing that. In the book, I'm going to read this part because it's fascinating. Hillary knew she needed to win the black votes overwhelmingly to get the party's nomination. She wouldn't fare well with white liberals in small town or turnout caucus states where bad losses meant bleeding delegates. But if she could run up the store in that large delegate halls in states with large minority populations, her poor performance with white progressives wouldn't stop her from advancing to the general election. In South Carolina, African Americans were likely to constitute a majority of the primary electorate. She expected to win there. The only question was margin, and it mattered because it would be a bellwether for whether African American population centers, particularly in the South. Essentially, this idea of depending on how people vote for her, meaning African Americans or minorities, she was trying to look at that as being, okay, how's the rest of the country going to vote for me? And she was using that population as a bellwether. So if she gets 90% of the vote of African Americans, that's a pretty clear indication of how people are going to vote in other states. Here's the catch, though. They realized something in the book. Even though they were successful at kind of painting Bernie Sanders as the white candidate, and she was the black candidate, I mean, even in this particular paragraph, she wanted to crush Bernie and signal to black voters in other states that she was the black community's preferred candidate. Meaning, she wanted to get across that people were looking at polls and everything else so people could see, oh, wow, in the South, they really went for Hillary Clinton. African Americans are really going for Hillary Clinton. It's kind of herd mentality type thing. I am the candidate for blacks. My name is Hillary Clinton. I am the candidate for blacks. That was the goal. And good job. You accomplished that. No, you didn't get as many blacks voting for you in the general election as Obama. But come on. Certainly you knew you weren't going to get as many votes as Obama in this case. But you still got 90-something%. Here's the problem. In doing that, they realized in the book, in somewhat of an autopsy, I mean, it's not overt, but it's somewhat of an autopsy, that by pulling in and focusing that much on minorities, they alienated whites. That's amazing. Like, it's this idea of they tried to paint Bernie Sanders as the white candidate. They literally painted him up and down. Bernie Sanders is the white candidate. I'm here for minorities. But in doing that, she completely alienated the voter base that she actually needed to get elected. Identity politics is problematic. Stay away from it. Deal with economics. Deal with the things that matter. She literally alienated her base in doing that. That's amazing. Now look, whatever you want to say about people feeling alienated for, somebody being that balls out for minorities, somewhat besides the point. if those people didn't necessarily believe that Hillary Clinton was going to represent her because she was so over the top trying to pull in minorities, that's Hillary Clinton's fault. She shouldn't have been pandering in that way. The policies that you're going to put out, if you focus on economics, that affects more people. I guess my point is you're isolating yourself when you get into this idea of identity. Leave it alone. The thing that affects everybody in this particular country, the overwhelming majority of the people are soaking in a similar sandbox. Economics. Economics. We have issues of class, not necessarily race. The issues of race are a problem. Yes, we still have those issues, but there's nothing you can do to affect those particular things. I can't force somebody to believe anything. What I can do is be left to my own devices. From an economic standpoint, economics is your key to freedom in that sense. Your freedom is determined by how much cash you have. You're in a capitalistic society. The more bills, the more things that are constraining you, that you have wrapped around you, it limits your freedom in a particular society. The economics of it is the thing you want to talk about. The economics is the thing that directly affects each and every person, particularly the 99% that you're trying to get. Your focus was so much on trying to pull in minorities and getting across that, hey, I'm the candidate of minorities, that you completely missed the point of the people who you actually needed to vote for you, who make up the majority of this population. During that election, I kept saying to myself, why is she so over the top? Like, what? It's like Bernie Sanders is the white candidate. And I thought to myself, well, whites make up like 60% of this country. Certainly you want whites voting for you. I just thought that was such a bizarre thing in their campaign. I didn't quite understand what she was getting at the time, but I thought to myself, this looks weird. This looks bad. And they fully missed the second point. When they wrote that letter saying we need to paint Bernie Sanders as a white candidate, we need to make sure that people understand that we are the candidate for blacks and minorities. When they did that to him, they also painted themselves. They also painted themselves. It's like somebody shooting off a nuke and then not getting out the blast radius of the nuke. If you're going to paint them that way, and if you're successful and it sticks, if this is the white candidate, who the hell are you? Who the hell are you? And with 60-some% of the people in this country being white, you've just tarred yourself in a reverse, weird, ridiculous way. Many of those people in that book, or at the very least, they understood that in going that route, taking that political strategy, they essentially alienated people who would have typically voted Democrat. It's amazing. It's amazing. And look, some of it in regards to Ohio had to do with the whole coal thing, or Bill Clinton passing NAFTA. Those trade deals, it adversely affected those states. But understand, part of that also had to do with her particular strategy and people who were uncomfortable with that strategy. Meaning, if he's the candidate for whites and she's the candidate for minorities, well, she's not representing me. I mean, I can totally kind of see that particular perspective of somebody saying to themselves, somewhat resenting in the way that she's going about her particular politics. I just think identity politics is alienating. It puts people into these little enclaves. And for yourself, you can see how the vote breaks down. The majority of whites vote Republican. The majority of minorities vote Democrat. You can make a case that Hillary Clinton was successful in her objectives. The problem is, whites make up the majority of this country. And yes, she needed those people to vote for her. And the strategy that she took alienated those people, and those people did not vote for her. So, all right, I leave it at that. All right, guys, if you enjoy the content, feel free to share, write, subscribe. You can always support the work through Patreon. Thank you.